Santa Claus in his traditional red suit in the middle, with skis strapped to his feet, and on either side of him sat two mannequins. They wore festive outfits and ice skates, as if they were ready to slip off the lift and onto the ice at any moment. Beneath the lift was a pile of soft white snow that looked good enough to dive into head first, and tiny white reindeer frolicked at the front of the window. Camilla moved along and found a space at the next window. This time Santa Claus was decked out in a red sequin outfit, with his fur-trimmed hat perched at a jaunty angle on his head. He was emerging from a white personal jet, and in each hand he held a lead, at the end of which were two grey toy poodles. In this scene, one of the mannequins wore checked pyjamas, while the other wore a knee-length fur gilet and high-waisted blue trousers. Suitcases lay scattered around them, and some of them were open, spilling their contents, including hot water bottles, fluffy socks and hats, onto the snow. The scene was framed by towering evergreens, decked with sparkling white fairy lights. As she gazed at the plane, Camilla wished, not for the first time, that she'd arranged to go away for Christmas. After all, it wasn't as if she hadn't had offers. Harlan Wright, a long-time friend of Camilla's, had invited her to New York for a 10-day trip. A native New Yorker, he jetted around the world with his freelance photography business. The first time Camilla had met him, at a bar in Soho, he'd raved about her looks and told her she could be the modern-day Elizabeth Taylor with her delicate features and cropped dark hair. Camilla had been 3 Manhattans in by then and suspected he was hitting on her until he introduced her to his boyfriend, Lance Havisham, a movie extra, who'd appeared in lots of films Camilla had never heard of and didn't think she ever wanted to watch. She'd also been invited to spend Christmas with Malcolm Ferguson, a Scottish venison farmer. They'd been introduced by a mutual acquaintance at an international rugby match. Malcolm was a giant of a man with a fashionably bald head and thick sandy beard, and had once played rugby himself, but been forced to quit because of a shoulder injury sustained when he was kicked by a pregnant doe. Camilla quite fancied Malcolm, but apart from a physical attraction to him, there wasn't much else she was drawn to, and she'd worried that accepting his invitation to snuggle in front of a smouldering Yule log while sipping scotch might send the wrong message. Then there had been William Roscoe, the wealthy Englishman 10 years her senior, who reminded her of Hugh Grant. She had a very soft spot for William. In fact, she had up until October wondered what it might be like to allow her friendship with him to develop into something more permanent. Though she hadn't admitted this to anyone else, of course. He had money, a large house in Kent, and a villa in Malchesini on Lake Garda, and he'd asked her to fly to Italy with him and some friends to enjoy Christmas at the lake. But she'd hesitated when he'd invited her, not really sure why at the time, although she told him it was because her mother would need her at home to help with the festivities. In reality, there was another reason why she couldn't bring herself to accept, and Camilla knew it was a very silly reason indeed. It had something to do with a particular vet. Penny for them? Camilla turned to find her close friend, Ali Jones, smiling at her from beneath a woolly russet beret. Ali! Camilla flung her arms around the other woman's neck, delighted to have been rescued from her thoughts. "You okay, lovely?" Ali asked, as Camilla released her. "Yes, well, kind of. It's just great to see you. Is Chris with you?" Camilla peered over Ali's shoulder and scanned the crowds for the George Clooney look-alike. "No, I came into London alone today so I could shop in peace. Jordan and Chris are looking after the cafe." "Well, if I'd known, I'd have caught the train with you." Ali smiled. "It was a bit last minute, to be honest, but now we're here.